quickly the mighty fall, how violently the illusions shatter when truth burns through the fabric of their carefully crafted lies, when the masks they've worn for so long begin to melt beneath the weight of exposure. Yes, their secrets are out, and now they spiral, screaming into the abyss they once believed belonged to others, the very same abyss they pushed you toward, thinking you'd fall, thinking you'd break. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still watching, and now it is them who tremble in the wake of revelation. This is your time, not theirs. This is the moment forged in silence, built in pain, sculpted in the shadow of their deceit. They never believed you would survive. They smiled with their polished teeth while poisoning your name, whispering venom into every ear that would listen, and even those that wouldn't. They built a palace from your bones, lit their fires with your dreams, laughed over the ashes of your hope, but they never expected the fire inside you. They didn't know you had your own inferno growing hungrier with each betrayal. They thought your silence was weakness. They mistook your calm for surrender. But no, you were simply waiting, and now you've seen it all crumble, their precious illusion devoured by the light they tried to bury now. Look how they panic. Look how they claw at the wreckage of their lies, desperately trying to rebuild what they can never restore. You see, they thought secrets made them strong, that hidden rot could somehow hold up a golden throne, but all rot does is decay. All lies do is unravel. And when the truth finally rose, it did not knock. It kicked the door off its hinges and dragged their shadows into the open for the world to see. And oh, how fragile they are when their illusions die, how loud they scream when reality refuses to kneel. And now you stand in the eye of their chaos, calm, focused, relentless. You are not the storm, but the force that commands it. You are not the flame, but the heat that fuels it. You are not the end, but the reckoning that brings it. This isn't revenge. No, this is not pettiness. This is balance. This is consequence. This is the scales finally tipping back toward justice. Not the kind scribbled in courtrooms. Not the kind dictated by rules, bent for the powerful. No, this is older. This is primal. This is universal. The truth has weight, and it always collects its debt. They borrowed against it for too long, and now payment has come, due with interest, with blood, with collapse. And you are the one who will watch them pay. You will see the desperation in their eyes, the sweat on their brows, the guilt they thought would never surface, now boiling over because secrets rot the soul. And once exposed, there is no hiding, there is no return, only free fall. And don't look away, do not blink, do not flinch, because they never did for you. They watched you fall and called it entertainment. They saw you suffer and called it fate. They walked past your screams and labeled it weakness. They crushed your name under their boots and called it ambition. But now the silence is theirs. The fall is theirs. The agony is theirs. And you, yes you, are the witness, the survivor, the one they didn't break, no matter how much they tried. The one they thought would stay buried, now risen, now reborn. And it's terrifying to them, isn't it? Because nothing scares a liar more than the truth. Walking tall. Let them burn in the fire they lit. Let them drown in the storm they created. Let them dance in the madness they once imposed on you. Their meltdown is not your tragedy. It is your triumph. It is the culmination of every night you clawed your way out of despair. Every hour you wore a mask of composure while screaming inside. Every moment you stood when it would have been easier to fall. And now, look what endurance has wrought. Look what silence has become a weapon, sharper than any sword, a vengeance, purer than any hatred. because this is not about destroying them. This is about the resurrection of you. You do not need to gloat. You do not need to scream. Your silence now is power. Your gaze now is judgment. Your presence now is punishment. Because nothing you could say would be louder than what's already happened. Their empire of illusion is rubble, and your survival is the earthquake that shattered it. Their panic is louder than your words. Their fear, greater than your fury and their shame, deeper than any wound you could have inflicted. So stand tall and let them break. Let them scream. Let them melt beneath the weight of what they can never take back. You are not their victim. You are the scar that reminds them they failed. You are the cold wind that brushes through their crumbling holes, whispering truths they can't silence. You are the echo of every truth they tried to kill, and the voice they now hear in every silence, in every quiet moment where guilt claws at their chest. You are what remains and what rises and what returns, and they can't stop you. Now they never could. They just didn't realize it until it was too late. So rise not for vengeance, but for clarity rise, not to match their darkness, but to transcend it. Rise because you have endured what would have broken lesser souls, and now your strength is not just in survival, but in resurrection, in reinvention, in the power to watch their collapse without needing to push, because the truth is enough. The truth was always enough. It just needed time. And now time is yours, and so is the reckoning. Their secrets exposed, their facades torn, their thrones shattered, and now in full meltdown, they scramble and scream and run from the truth they once buried. And you walk through the ashes with your head held high and your soul intact. You do not look back because you don't need to. The past has already paid its debt, and the future is yours to write. Not with ink, not with pretense, not with the fragile lies they used to build their empires, but with the fire carved into your bones, the scars etched into your spirit, the kind of truth that doesn't ask for permission, but takes space simply by existing. Your future will not resemble theirs. It will not be a palace made of whispers and treachery. It will be a fortress forged in silence, a testament to resilience, and they will see it rising in the distance, looming large like a monument to everything they failed to destroy. You will walk paths they never dared to because they only ever knew how to hide behind deception and manipulation. But you have walked through the valley where fear makes its home, and you didn't run. You became the fear. You became what haunts them now. There's a special kind of power born from being underestimated, a terrifying clarity that comes when you've had everything stripped away, when all you have left is the truth and your own heartbeat. And that was your beginning, not your end. That was the moment they thought you were finished. But all it really did was free you from their illusion. Now you're unbound, untethered, unstoppable. And as they unravel in full meltdown, you finally understand. You were never the one falling apart. You were the one being refined, pressed under pressure until you became unbreakable. They mistook your stillness for surrender, not knowing. Stillness is where storms are born. And now that storm has a name, and it is yours now. Every word they spoke against you becomes a stone in your foundation. Every betrayal, a lesson. Every wound, a map. Every scar, a badge of truth. And this truth isn't quiet. It doesn't hide it. It doesn't whisper, it roars. It demands to be seen. It walks into rooms before you do it. It sits on your shoulders like armor, and you wear it not with shame, but with absolute ownership because you survived what they designed to destroy you. And in doing so, you exposed what they truly are. They wanted control. They wanted silence. They wanted obedience. But what they got was a witness, a survivor, a warrior, And now you see them as they truly are, desperate, lost, drowning in the consequences of their own decisions, watching as their influence collapses like a rotten building, eaten from within by the very corruption they fed it. And you don't need to do anything but stand and watch. You don't need revenge, you don't need to shout, you just are. And that's enough to make them spiral. Because the strongest punishment is watching someone you tried to erase, live louder than ever. Do you feel that tremble in your chest? That isn't fear anymore. That is power growing, expanding, reclaiming everything they tried to strip away from you. It is your voice returning, your vision sharpening your steps, growing heavier with purpose. Every move you make now echoes in the halls of their regret, and they can't drown it out, no matter how they scream. Because that scream, it isn't for you. It's for themselves. It's the cry of realization. The moment they understand, the facade is dead, and the real has come to collect. They may try to salvage what they can rebuild from the ashes, but nothing born from lies can stand for long, and they know that. Now their panic, their meltdown, it isn't temporary, it's existential. Because you were the mirror, they didn't expect to shatter their narrative. You've rewritten with your existence, they'll try to twist it to regain control. But the more they speak, the more truth leaks. Through every sentence, a confession, every action, a cry for help. They are exposed, and exposure is the one thing they cannot survive, because it demands authenticity, and they are nothing but imitation. And still, you rise still, you walk forward, not to prove anything, not to explain, not to be applauded, but simply because it is what you do. Because now there's no stopping the momentum, no undoing the growth, no silencing the story. It's already out there, already running wild through the minds of those who once doubted you. It spreads like wildfire, not because you shout, but because it's real. And real cannot be denied, and you are real. The realest thing they've ever seen, and that terrifies them more than any scream ever could. Remember how they used to look at you as if you were something broken, something beneath them, as if you were a problem to be fixed or discarded. But now those eyes are wide with fear and regret and realization that what they discarded became stronger without them, that what they broke came back together sharper and more dangerous. And they don't know how to face that because it forces them to look inward and see the hollowness in themselves. They can't stand the reflection now because it shows them everything they tried to avoid. You owe them nothing, not your forgiveness, not your understanding, not your silence. They made their choice and now they live in the world shaped by it. A world where you are not silent, where you do not bow, where you rise and speak and walk with the kind of purpose they will never understand, because purpose cannot be faked. It must be earned, and you earned it in blood, in pain, in nights spent wondering if you'd ever feel whole again. And now you are whole, not perfect, but powerful, not untouched, but unstoppable, not healed in a way that erases the past, but in a way that uses it as fuel. Let them see it all. Let them feel the weight of what they've done. Let them melt in the heat of exposure. Because you will not dim your light for their comfort ever again. You will not shrink. You will not silence. You will not carry their shame and wear it like your own. You drop that weight. Now you leave it behind, and in doing so you become more dangerous than they ever imagined, because now you are free. Free from needing their approval, from needing their validation, from needing their version of the story. To include you, you write your own story now, and in that story, they are nothing but a footnote. Watch them falter, watch them flail, trying to rebuild their lives with broken hands, because this is the part they never saw coming, the part where you stop running and start building the part where you step forward. Not with vengeance, but with vision. The part where your name becomes legend, not because of them, but in spite of them. And that is what breaks them more than anything. Not your fury, but your indifference. Not your attacks, but your peace. Not your revenge, but your success. Because they never believed you'd make it here. And now, they can't escape the fact that you did. They will try to rewrite the past. They will twist it, reshape it, try to control the narrative, but it's too late. The truth is out, and it has claws. It bites. It tears through the fiction like a wild thing, unchained, and you are the one who loosed it. Not to destroy, but to cleanse, to burn away the rot, and leave only what's real, what's strong, what's lasting. And from those ashes you rise again and again and again. So let them melt. Let them spiral. Let them try to make sense of a world that no longer revolves around their lies and manipulations, because your orbit is your own now, and nothing they say or do can drag you back into their shadow. You outgrew them long ago, and now your silence is not surrender. It's strategy. It's sovereignty. It's the sound of someone who has nothing left to prove and everything left to build. And build you will from the ground up, from stone and truth and fury and vision. You will shape a world where your voice is not just heard, but felt, where your truth does not whisper it, thunders, where your presence does not beg, it commands, and they will watch, they will witness, and they will break again and again as they realize they never had the power. They thought they did not over you, not over anything real. You are not a ghost from their past. You are a fire from the future, and nothing they do can extinguish that. Now they are in full meltdown, and you are just getting started, and the ground is trembling beneath your feet, not because you are falling, but because you are moving with purpose, with power, with the weight of everything you've been through and everything you're becoming. This is not some fragile rebirth. This is an awakening forged in the depths of betrayal and silence. It is not a gentle rising. It is violent. It is loud even in silence. It is the kind of rising that splits the sky and dares the heavens to look away. And you will not apologize for it. You will not soften it for the comfort of the ones who once buried you in darkness. You've earned this emergence. You've bled for it, starved for it, cried for it, and now you rise like something inevitable, like something final, and they can't stand it because they remember how they left you. They remember the version of you. They tried to break the one who reached out and was met with cold backs and colder smiles, the one who begged for clarity, who longed for kindness, and was given cruelty dressed as love. They remember because it was easy for them to step on you, then easy to watch you struggle and act like it wasn't their doing, easy to paint themselves as saviors while tightening the noose of manipulation around your voice. But now the noose is snapped. Now the mask has shattered, and you are not the same. You are not kind in the way that enables anymore. You are not soft in the way they could mold. Now your softness is strength. Now your compassion has teeth. Now your boundaries are walls lined with iron, and they don't know how to reach you anymore. And that terrifies them more than your rage ever could. Because rage, they could use, twist, spin, blame. They could call you unstable. They could make your fire look like madness. But this calm, this certainty, this rising that is built on pure, undeniable truth, they have no words for that. They have no strategy for that, because it comes from somewhere. They will never touch it. It comes from knowing. You needed no audience, no applause, no spotlight to become who you are. You forged this power in silence, in exile, in the moments they left you for dead. And now you carry that silence like a sword, and it cuts through all their noise. You see the world differently now, not with innocence, but with clarity. You know, the masks, people wear the games they play, and you've learned not to hate them for it, but you also don't make space for them anymore. You don't shrink to make room for cowards. You don't bend to keep peace that costs your dignity. You don't play dead, so others can feel alive. You take up space now, fully, fiercely, and without apology. And those who once thrived on your silence, they choke on it. Now they call it arrogance, they call it rebellion, they call it ego. But really what they're seeing is freedom, your freedom. And nothing frightens a controller more than someone they can no longer manipulate. Let them burn in their own confusion. Let them stew in the consequences of their choices, because you will not go back, not even to prove a point. You are not here to fix them, to rescue them, to validate them. You are not their lesson, their healer, their redemption. You are your own sanctuary. Now, your own anchor, your own savior. And that isn't selfish, it's sacred, because you know now what happens. When you pour from an empty soul, when you give pieces of yourself to those who only want you broken, and they can call you cold for it, they can call you cruel, but the truth is you've simply stopped bleeding for people who smile while holding the knife. And in their meltdown, they will reach for you again. Oh yes, they will reach, not out of love, but out of fear, out of desperation, because their world is cracking, and you were once their foundation. They will try to draw you back in with old words, old tricks, wrapped in apologies, dipped in nostalgia. But remember this, desperation is not change. Regret is not accountability. Silence is not peace. They are not reaching for you because they see your worth. They are reaching because they've lost theirs and they think, maybe you'll give them another piece of yours, but you won't. Not this time, because this time you know better. This time you know what it cost to crawl out of the hole they dug for you. This time you remember the nights you screamed into pillows, the days you questioned your own mind, the hours you spent trying to be enough for people who were never meant to have you. This time you remember that you survived, and that survival came at a price you will never pay again, because this version of you does not chase, does not beg, does not plead. This version of you knows your worth, is not up for discussion, not a negotiation, not a debt owed to those who tried to destroy you. Let them melt, let them spiral, let them howl at the moon and curse your name from the ruins of their empire, because you will not throw them a rope. Not because you are cruel, but because they lit the fire that now consumes them. And you cannot be both the torch and the water. You cannot be both the sacrifice and the savior. You choose now and you choose yourself. And in doing so, you become a force they cannot control, cannot predict, cannot diminish. You become the storm they warned others about. Not the one they survived, but the one they created every time they doubted. You dismissed, you diminished you. And now that storm has a name, has a face, has a voice, and it speaks in truth and walks with fire. And every step you take now is one, further away from their reach, further from their grip, and they know it. And it's killing them, slowly, loudly, chaotically. And they will tell the world you're the villain, that you changed, that you turned dark. But what they will never admit is that it was them who broke you open, who turned kindness to steel and silence to swords. You are not dark, you are depth, and they were never prepared to swim in what they tried to drown you in. You are not cruel, you are clarity, and they cannot survive in a world where people see them for who they are. And you are not lost. You are found reborn, recalibrated, redefined, And their meltdown, their collapse, is not a tragedy. It is a revelation. It is the natural end of unnatural power. It is the echo of karma coming full circle. And you are not here to pity it. No, you are here to build, to rise, to take everything they said you couldn't have and make it your own. You are here to carve joy from the wreckage, to plant peace where there was only war, to laugh loudly in places you were once told to be quiet, to be bold in rooms where you were told to shrink. And that laughter, that boldness, that peace is your victory. It is the anthem they cannot silence, the revenge that needs no violence, the retribution that needs no destruction, just presence, just being, just living. And that is what undoes them most. You live now, you thrive, you grow, and they melt and rage and rot in the legacy of their own lies. And you do not look back because you are just getting started, and there is more ahead, more beauty, more power, more truth, more you. And nothing they say or do can stop that now, because it's already in motion, already growing, already winning, and the future is not theirs to write anymore. It never was. It's yours, all of it. So let this be the final word, not for them, but for you. Let this moment be etched in the stone of your soul, not as an end, but as a beginning. Not as a revenge story, but as a resurrection. Not as a scream into the void, but as the voice of someone who has walked through hell, barefoot, and came back holding the flames in their hands like a weapon, not to burn the world, but to light the path forward. They are in meltdown. Yes, but you are in motion. They are unraveling, and you are rebuilding. They are gasping for control, and you are breathing power. They are exposed, and you are evolving. They are stuck in the past, and you are writing futures with ink made from every time they tried to silence you, with courage stitched from the scars they left behind, with truth so loud it makes their fiction tremble. And no, you will not look back, because the past does not deserve your gaze anymore. You are not walking away from them. You are walking toward everything they said. You couldn't be toward everything you were meant to become before they ever even touched your story. And this silence in your wake, it is not emptiness. It is the sound of chains, snapping of illusions, dying of a soul that has finally remembered its worth. So go forward with no apologies and no fear, with fire in your lungs and steel in your spine. They had their chance to stand with you. Now they can only watch as you rise beyond the smoke, beyond the wreckage, beyond them. Because this was never about their collapse. This was always about your ascent.